Apache sitgreaves in Tonto National Forest are closing down as crews struggle to get the upper hand on the Horton Fire. It's now burned at least 400 acres near Payson, and nearby areas are being told to be on standby, ready to evacuate at a moment's notice.
The Horton Fire burning northeast of Payson continues to grow in the Tonto National Forest and is now up to nearly 3,600 acres.
It's jumped in size. It's now at more than 7,000 acres, still only 19% contained. Some areas are on standby to evacuate if the fire should move closer their way.
Crews have been battling the Horton Fire for more than 3 weeks now northeast of Payson, but today the fire has doubled in size, burning more than 8,300 acres.
Arizona has the 8th highest wildfire risk in the country, according to a USDA analysis. Perhaps no surprise, all the states with the highest wildfire risk are out west.
We've had some issues here in Arizona, believe it or not, still working that Horton Fire burning near Payson. That fire broke out December 14th. It's been burning almost a month, and it's burned across more than 8,000 acres.
From the skies, a sliver of orange flames can be seen among the thick plumes of gray smoke. On the ground, fire crews continue battling the Horton Fire. Since it started on December 14th, it's burned more than 8,000 acres. But if they can keep containment, then Coyle says they'll have confidence that they'll soon have these flames under control. This fire has certainly left its mark.
On December 14th, 2024, what is thought to be an unattended campfire left by visitors sparked a wildfire in the Tonto National Forest. The fire was believed to be ignited and started in the Tonto National Forest and then spread along the Mogollon Rim to the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest. It took up to 457 fire personnel to battle the blaze, and once the smoke cleared, it was assessed that the wildfire engulfed 8,346 acres, consuming acres of the rim's ponderosa pines and other conifer forests, creating emergency closures of trails and roads, including areas like the Lower and Upper Tonto Creek campgrounds, Horton Trailhead and Creek Day use areas, the Hatchery Trailhead, and Sea Canyon Trailhead, and more. We've had a very dry winter and spring this year in Arizona, with the valley not getting almost any rain and the mountains not getting the much needed snow to help the creeks flow for the remainder of the year as the snowpacks melt. It's been very dry, and we're expecting a rough, dry, and hot summer as well, leaving our national forests as fragile as a tinderbox. With summer looming close by, multiple burn bans and fire warnings are already in place to protect our public lands in the mountains. But other factors, natural and otherwise, still prompt risk and danger starting fires in our national forests. It's been a while since we visited the rim and its special fishing holes that we hold so dear to our hearts. But, to be fair, it's been a busy winter for us, picking up hours at work, starting a new night job, trying to better ourselves, and even going through some medical challenges, resulting in a few days stay at the hospital, a surgery, and a hiatus to our adventures and fishing trips for a while. Even so, the Lord has been good to us, and we couldn't wait to get back to the mountains. Now I've had my eye on this tiny, remote creek for a while now. Starting as a spring, quite literally gushing out of the rim, this water is clean, cold, and supposedly loaded with a unique and robust population of wild brown trout. This creek system is known to be a tough fishery, with finicky and spooky fish, but it's the challenge that attracts small creek anglers to survey its runs and riffles in search of rising trout. It's been a few months since the complete containment of the Horton Fire, but I wasn't sure about what was left over of the forest, the creek, and these wild fish. I hadn't really seen many reports of the creek since before the fire, so I wanted to find out for myself. My initial thoughts were thinking that the forest didn't look too bad, but as I started along the trailhead, the landscape started to shift. As we walked along a dried-up creek bed, the burn scars and fire damage became way more apparent, and about after a mile with no signs of water, we thought about turning back, asking ourselves the questions, was there any water left? We've seen the fishing signs. Isn't there supposed to be creek here? The map says creek. Did the fire really lick up all the water? Is there still a population of wild trout? Tired and discouraged, we decided to go on just a bit further. Just over this hill, I said. And as soon as we crested the top, we heard it. The sound of flowing water. The creek lives. Unknowingly to me at the time, about a mile into the trailhead, the creek runs underground into Tonto Creek and only runs over due to the melting snowpack and rain. But in this dry spell, this spring-fed water is very low, cold, and crystal clear. They say the beginning of spring emerges new life, and even in the dry season and in the aftermath of the fire, it couldn't be any more true. Out of the black, charred ground, spring shoots of green, resembling new hope and regrowth of the Horton wilderness. But what about the fish? As I proposed the question wrapped in hair and feathers, I met with a quick and eager response, and just the answer I was looking for. Brown trout were transplanted from Europe to the US in the early 1800s, and to Arizona in the early 1900s. Due to their adaptability, brown trout have established multitudes of reproducing wild populations throughout most of the United States. But sometimes the introduction of non-native species like brown and rainbow trout can threaten the native species populations. In this case of Arizona, the Gila and Apache trouts. Fortunately, in this case, neither are historically native to this specific creek, so these brown trout haven't disrupted their populations. We hiked down a little further, a good place to be still in the presence of God, to enjoy His creation and the newness thereof, and, of course, to have a snack of fresh and sugared strawberries and apples. Lately in this season, I've been camped in Acts 14, verse 17, that says, "But He never left them without evidence of Himself and His goodness." It's a lot to digest, especially in the day and age we live in, but it's in the little, unseen, and unnoticed things that we see God's spectacular attention to detail to creation, even in the hidden things most may never see. It's in the way these trout rise in secret on this creek, weary to give themselves away. It's in the way the wildflowers bud, waiting in due time to reveal their beauty in the truest form. Creation worships God just by being, by doing exactly what the Lord created them for. One of the things I love about wild trout in small water is how tricky it can be. With how clear and low this water is, these fish are incredibly spooky and aware of everything going on around them. But it also makes it so much more rewarding when you get the drop on them and get one in the net. I love exploring new places, and I love exploring God's wild creation. But there's something about this creek system, about these fish that I'm drawn to. They've all gone through a lot. Droughts and wildfires, silt and soot runoff and drainages damaging their habitat, but still, they carry on. These resilient little fish keep making it through, and to me, that's pretty cool. It was great surveying this creek, seeing how abundant the fish were and how enthusiastic and willing they were to take a fly. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with brown trout. In fact, these fish on this trip were some of my first brown trout I've caught in the state of Arizona. I actually used to never really care for brown trout that much. When I first started trout fishing, for me, it was all about the brook trout. And then when we made the move to Arizona, I sank more into the interests of wild populations of trout and our country's native salmonoids and their cool history. Although not native, I've become more fond of brown trout due to this creek and its population of wild browns. The hues of brown, bronze, and gold, speckled with black and red, are a sight to behold, painted by the maker himself, and with each fish that I get to hold in the palm of my hand, I get to gaze upon the tapestry of color that only God could design. And it makes me think, if not God, then what else? I'm so thankful for these experiences I get to have, these trips I get to take, and these fish that I get to hold in my memories forever. and I'm thankful for my God who makes all of this possible for us to take part of. I'm also thankful for you guys. Your support means a lot, and if you enjoyed this video, would you consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe? Make sure you click the bell to be notified of any new uploads in the future. We have a lot of cool things in store for the summer and the fall. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.